Chandasya Kyanangina Salakaya Sakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Varanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namaha Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripasindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha. We're reading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Ādi-līlā, chapter 13, the Advent of Lord Chaitanya. The whole world.
Jai Sachi Devī Dāsī.
Jai Sachi Devī Dāsī, Jai Gurudev. That is verse 97. The whole world was pleased while the Hindus chanted the holy name of the Lord. The non-Hindus, especially the Mohammedans, jokingly imitated the words. While all the ladies vibrated the holy name of Hari on earth, in the heavenly planets dancing and music were going on, for the demigods were very curious. In this atmosphere, all the 10 directions became jubilant, as did the waves of the rivers. Moreover, all beings, moving and non-moving, were overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. Thus, by his causeless mercy, the full moon, Gora Hari, rose in the district of Nadia, which is compared to Udayagiri, where the sun first becomes visible. His rising in the sky dissipated the darkness of sinful life, and thus the 3 worlds became joyful and chanted the holy name of the Lord. At that time, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, in his own house at Shantipur, was dancing in a pleasing mood. Taking Haridas Thakur with him, he danced and loudly chanted Hare Krishna. But why they were dancing, no one could understand. Seeing the lunar eclipse and laughing both, Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur immediately went to the bank of the Ganges and bathed in the Ganges in great jubilation. Taking advantage of the occasion of the lunar eclipse, Advaita Acharya, by his own mental strength, distributed various types of charity to the Brahmanas. When he saw that the whole world was jubilant, Haridas Thakur, his mind astonished, directly and indirectly expressed himself to Advaita Acharya. Your dancing and distributing charity are very pleasing to me. I can understand that there is some special purpose for this. Acharya Ratna, Chandrasekhara, and Srivas Thakur were overwhelmed with joy, and immediately they went to the bank of the Ganges to take bath in the water of the Ganges. Their minds full of happiness, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and gave charity by mental strength. In this way, all the devotees, wherever they were situated, in every city and in every country, danced, performed Sankirtan, and gave charity by mental strength on the plea of the lunar eclipse, their minds overwhelmed with joy. All sorts of respectful Brahmana gentlemen and ladies, carrying plates filled with various gifts, came with their presentation. Sometimes, seeing the newborn child whose form resembled natural glaring gold, all of them with happiness offered their blessings. Dressing themselves as the wives of the Brahmanas, all the celestial ladies, including the wives of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Nishingadev, King Indra, and Vasishta Rishi and Ramba, a dancing girl of heaven, came there with varieties of gifts. In outer space, all the demigods, including the inhabitants of Gandharvaka-loka, Siddhaloka, and Charanaloka, offered their prayers and danced with musical songs and the beating of drums. Similarly, in Navadvip city, all the professional dancers, musicians, and blessers gathered together, dancing in great jubilation. No one could understand who was coming and who was going, who was dancing and who was singing, nor could they understand each other's language, but in effect all unhappiness and lamentation were immediately dissipated, and people became all jubilant. Thus Jagannath Mishra was also overwhelmed with joy. Chandrasekhara Acharya and Srivas Thakur both came to Jagannath Mishra and drew his attention in various ways. They performed the ritualistic ceremonies prescribed at the time of birth according to religious principles. Jagannath Mishra also gave varieties of charity. Whatever riches Jagannath Mishra collected in the form of gifts and presentations, and whatever he had in his house, he distributed among the brahmanas, professional singers, dancers, bhattas, and the poor. He honored them all by giving them riches and charity. The wife of Srivas Thakur, whose name was Malini, accompanied by the wife of Chandrasekhara Acharya Ratna and other ladies, came there in great happiness to worship the baby with paraphernalia such as vermilion, turmeric oil, fused rice, bananas, and coconuts. One day, shortly after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya's wife Sita Devi, who is worshipable by the whole world, taking permission of her husband, went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presentations. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including bangles for the hand, armlets, necklaces, and anklets. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment, also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented to the child. Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles, such as fresh grass, paddy, korochana, turmeric, curcuma, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a large basket. When Sita Thakurani came to the house of Sachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newly born child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna of Gokula himself. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Sita Thakurani was very much pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting. She blessed the newly born child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai. On the day the mother and son took bath and left the maternity home, Sita Thakurani gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. In this way, Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, having obtained a son who was the husband of the goddess of fortune, had all their desires fulfilled. Their house was always filled with riches and grains. As they saw the beloved body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu day after day, their pleasure increased. Jagannath Mishra was an ideal Vaishnava. He was peaceful, restrained in sense gratification, pure and controlled. Therefore, he had no desires to enjoy material opulence. Whatever money came because of the influence of his transcendental son, he gave it in charity to the Brahmanas for the satisfaction of Vishnu. After calculation, the birth moment of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nilambar Chakravarti privately said to Jagannath Mishra that he saw all the different symptoms of a great personality in both the body and birth moment of the child. Thus he understood that in the future this child would deliver all the three worlds. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Sachi Devī. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears this narration of his birth, and thus such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. Wow, what could be a better end than this
that
for today?
Chapter 13?
What do you say?
That ends is chapter 13? No.
Not ending yet.
Okay. Beautiful.
Jai Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta.
Only 2 more verses today, so we might as well finish the chapter.
What do you say?
Only 2 more verses, so we might as well finish the chapter.
Okay, I do that. I finish the chapter. That is text 123. Anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Duni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body, one drinks the water in a poisoned pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not to have lived, but to have died long ago. Wow, this is a heavy statement, but so true. Of course, everything is true, what we read in the Holy Scriptures. Not to say that, but very, very strong.
Lidila is a very nice, difficult purpose.
Okay, I read it again, and then I read the purport. Anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Duni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body one drinks the water in a poison pit of material happiness, instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not to have lived, but to have died long ago. Purport. In this connection, Srimad Prabodhananda Saraswati has composed the following verses in his Caitanya-caritāmṛta. This material world is without Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. Therefore, if a very learned scholar or scientist does not understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, certainly he is wandering uselessly in this world. A person who does not take advantage of the nectar of devotional service overflowing during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is certainly the poorest of the poor. The advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just like an expanding ocean of nectar. One who does not collect the valuable jewels within this ocean is certainly the poorest of the poor. Similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam 2:3 and 19 and 20 and 23 states, a person who has no connection with Krishna consciousness may be a very great personality in so-called human society, but actually he is no better than a great animal. Such big animals are generally praised by other animals like dogs, hogs, camels and asses. A person who does not lend his oral reception to hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered to have ear holes like holes in a field. Although that person has a tongue, it is like the tongue of a frog, which unnecessarily creates a disturbance by croaking, inviting the snake of death. Similarly, a person who neither takes advantage of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, nor smells the tulasi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, must be considered dead, even though he is supposedly working. Similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 1, Verse 4 states, "Who but the animal killer or the killer of the soul will not care to have glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Such glorification is enjoyed by persons liberated from the contamination of this material world." Similarly, in the 3rd Canto, Chapter 23, Verse 56, the Bhagavatam says, "Although a person is apparently living, if he does not serve the lotus feet of great devotees, he is to be considered a dead body." Last verse. "Taking on my head as my own property the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Acharya Advaita Chandra, Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, I Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, have thus described the advent of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu." Jai.
Beautiful, huh?
Yeah. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Ādi-līlā, Chapter 13, the advent of Lord Chaitanya. Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Then reading a little bit from In the Light of Loving Devotion, and the chapter is Chapter 9, The Highest Solution. Our eternal good. So much energy is given for the national cause, so many atomic bombs, so many soldiers ready to devote their life, to sacrifice their life for the national interest. But this national prosperity, how little it is it? What does it amount to? It is trifling, it is as nothing. The eternal good, however, is real wealth, fortune. It is a good for eternity. So how much energy should we collect for that? To do good for all, to distribute such fortune, such eternal good to one and all, so that they may get back to their home, to take all the misguided people back to their sweet, sweet home. It is such a high degree of welfare, and that is the duty, the goal that arouses in the mind of Mahaprabhu. All these vagabonds, they should be taken to their own home and guardian. They are wandering here like so many beasts in the jungle, without knowing what is good or what is bad, and always engaged in some sort of competition, biting one another. Such is their condition, their deplorable condition. I must take them home. This is the situation of the souls wandering in this world, and they think they are civilized. Animals who live in the jungle are fighting and biting, all trying to live, to survive at the cost of others. And human beings, they are following the same course, and more efficiently, fighting other nations. What sort of civilization is this? It is only a civilized jungle. Then civilization loses its meaning. Civil means gentle. Is this gentleness? When one does individually competition, exploitation, all ungentle behavior, if one does it as a group, as a nation, does that make it a civilization? And they are proud of doing that kind of activity, and so foolish that they think that by doing it in the name of the nation, All such actions are purified, but if their jungle habits can be performed under this name, they are justified. But all this justification, they are just words in a fool's dictionary. Very nice. Chaitanya Swāmī published a very nice book of the talks of Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Śrīdhar Maharaj. Very, very, very nice.
What you read goes in hand with what you read in Caitanya-caritāmṛta.
What do you say?
What you read goes alongside it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
So
matching. Yeah. Everything matches, right? Because everything is the Lord's influence.
He gives some notes at the end, doesn't he?
Of in certain areas.
Yeah.
So he gives a little reference.
Yeah.
So are you reading those as well, did he?
I don't. Normally, I don't do that.
You see, there is a like number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
So at the end.
You want me to read that?
Yeah, because if you please, if you don't mind.
Do you want me to read it at the end of the chapter, or do I have to look?
At the end of the chapter, as it is in the book.
You want to read it at the end of the chapter?
Yes, because at the end of the chapter,
we do that.
There's end notes.
Sorry if I not doing. Yeah, good.
But it all depends if there are any extra notes in that particular reading that she's doing. So if there are,
if there are.
not every time there is.
No, but we.
These two books, these latest editions, Madhusudan Maharaj published and Chaitanya Swāmī Maharaj published in the treasure chest of divine love and in the light of loving devotion. Very important books. It's like Guru Maharaj's conception in a condensed form, small book. Always good to take it with you wherever you go.
Yes. Did you want to sing Ādi-līlā?
Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan.
Govindaram Sri Madhusudan.
Giridhari Gopinath Sri Caitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Karadhara Siva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raguna. Siddhiva Gopala Bhakta Dasaraguna. Ejai Gusai Kori Charana Banda. Yao Te Vignana Sabishta Pura. Ejai Gusai Jamui Tarada. Tam Sabara Parare Numura Pachaka. Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Saneva. Janane Janame Mohe Avilas. Ejai Gusai Jave Bhaja Kolaba. Radha Krishna Ādi-līlā Ādi-līlā Bhaka. Anande Bora Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Sri Guru Vaishnava Parema Jayama. Sri Guru Vaishnava Padma Koriya. Hari Nam Sankirtana Kori
Swāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnu Paramahams Paramahansa Gaya Asata Sata Shishima Shri Bhakti Śrīdhar Swāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnu Paramahansa Paramahansa Gaya Asata Sata Shishima Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Vishnu Shri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnu Shri Sachidananda Shri Bhakti Thakur ki jai. Jai Vishnu Shri Gaur Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Shri Rupanuga Guruvaka ki jai. Namaskar Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Bharadeva Jabhusana ki jai. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu ki jai. Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Krishna Das Kaviraj ki jai. Six Goswamis of Vrindavan ki jai. Prabhupada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Prabhupada Shri Mahaprabhu ki jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shri Mukund Radha Govindan ki jai. Shri Lakshmi Vivaha Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Vinashraya Shri Nrsimhadev ki jai. Bhakti Prabhupada Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Ganga Jana Maharaj ki jai. Shri Maharani ki jai. Karikama ki jai. Grandvashana Bhavisham Chaitanya Caritāmṛta jai. Raja Sabha ki jai. Akama Raja Sri Chaitanya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswati jai. Bishop Vyarti Kodiyasa ki jai. Shri Ramayapur ki jai. Shri Ramayapur ki jai. Vrindavan Bhusha Chapadeva Subhadra Chakravarti ki jai. Shri Govinda Kund ki jai. Shri Ganga Dwarasha ki jai. Samantha Bhaksa Mandava ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Devotees all around the world ki jai. Nishma Goa Premanandi.